It does not ask whether you are black or white, male or female, gay or straight, young or old.
I'm Diana Falzone for NewsNation. On August 19th, 1992, Mary Fisher made a historic speech, A Whisper of AIDS, at the Republican National Convention after she was diagnosed with HIV a year prior. Over the last 33 years, Fisher continues to educate the public about HIV. The advocate and author joins us now. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Yes. It's 3 decades, right? Amazing.
It is amazing. In 1992, you gave a very courageous speech about living with HIV, a time where the virus was labeled as a rare cancer found in gay men by the New York Times. You were a divorced mother of two then toddlers, Max and Zachary, and contracted the virus from your then husband. Why did you decide to disclose your life altering diagnosis on a world stage?
Oh, boy. Initially, even just going public, which had happened earlier in the year, um, was more about not wanting my children to grow up and feel the stigma that I was recording, and watching and seeing, in the 80s and 90s. And I didn't want them to feel that stigma about their dad or me. So
Mhm.
that was the beginning of my, like, okay, I'm ready. And I also kind of felt like, um, unlike some people that were getting, especially women who were infected, I wasn't going to have the kind of, I wouldn't lose my job, and I hope that they wouldn't take away my children, which they were doing in those days,
Wow.
from women who were diagnosed, and or lose my insurance. I just felt maybe I could do it. Well, I was encouraged to do it by a lot of people that
Mhm.
said you're in the right place to do this. So I think it was just, if this is what I have to do before I die, this is what I'm doing.
You mentioned a lot about the stigma and the things that were going on, like women that were diagnosed with HIV having their kids taken away. I mean, there were terrible implications from a societal standpoint. For you, did you face any fallout after you came forward?
Well, well, my children did, and of course I did, and I mean, I did probably then perhaps ignored it, or heard it, had enough support around me, could handle it, and knew that once you say something out loud, I mean, my mentor, Betty Ford, said to me, "Once you say it in public, it's you can't take it back." So I knew that anything might happen.
Right, you
Well,
just mentioned former First Lady Betty Ford. Your children's godparents were former President Gerald Ford and Betty Ford. How did they support you when you disclosed your diagnosis?
they were amazing, actually, and when I was diagnosed, I went to visit them, took the children, and so that they could see I was okay and that they were okay. And Max had his test, and he was not positive, so that was a good thing. And Zachary was adopted, so the children were fine.
Yeah.
They were not only supportive, but emotionally gathered me and them so much. The president was angry. They were wonderful, but Betty said to me, "Okay, we've cried. We're dealing with it, but what are you going to do for uh, women in this world and other people? What are you going to do?" And I was like, "Whoa!" It's like, "Okay, what am I going to do?" She said, "You're going to speak out."
Hmm.
And I mean, that's what she had always done.
Yes.
I said, "But I'm not," I was playing the devil's advocate. For example, I'm not Magic Johnson. He had just been diagnosed, or he just came out. I said, "I'm just a you know, a just a person, and not anybody that has that kind of reach." And she said, "It doesn't matter. You can speak for other women."
You began your advocacy work over 3 decades ago. In your view, has society evolved its understanding about HIV and AIDS? What does society need to do better?
It's that's such a in a way that's such a hard question. Society needs to do a lot of things better right now.
Mhm.
Caring about other people would be one of them. Um, HIV and AIDS is we lost so many people in those years. I mean, quickly, and because there were no medications. Now we have some medications. I mean, hundreds of medications that are keeping people alive. How great is that? That's amazing. I mean, the medical research. I'm alive because of medical research. And we care, but we don't have a cure. And I think generationally, people don't understand what went on then. A lot of this medical research is being gutted.
Mhm.
I'm frightened. I'm scared. I'm worried about people that I know all over the world that are going to not be able to get medication, or people here that aren't going to be able to have access to insurance, or it's a difficult, difficult, difficult time.
You said that if you were to die, you'd want your tombstone to read courage or compassion. You continue to pay it forward in your life. That's what you've done for 3 decades. How did you keep that spirit going when you went through your trials and your tribulations? Not only have you lived with HIV and like you said, the stigmas that were attached and had to confront difficult things, but you also had cancer, you've experienced near death. I mean, how did you get through this all?
Oh, Diane. Well, I think that the children help a lot. It's like knowing that you have a bit of some legacy or whatever. It's your role model for so many people. I think also I have great support,
Mhm.
and many times when I let me just I could tell you a story. So after the fiasco with my cataract operation, where I actually did die, and was taken to the emergency room, I I really thought you have to think about why am I still here? What is it that is keeping me alive? Which is what really gave way for the book that I wrote, Uneasy Silence, and because I just felt like maybe over the years I'd been very honest and open, but maybe I hadn't been strong enough. And I really believed that I wanted other people to understand they could speak out as well. I mean, we can't do everything,
Mhm.
but we can do something. A dear friend is David Kessler. I don't know if you know him, but he's a grief expert, and he told me he didn't think I was dying. He said, "I just think you're grieving." And that was sort of it pushed me into another place. 'Cause grieving, I think I could work with that, and now in my 8th decade, can you imagine? 8th decade, I can say I'm not happy about a lot of the things that are going on. In fact, I'm angry, um, and frustrated and all of that, but I can't do it all. But I can urge people to stand up and tell the truth
Mhm.
and say what they believe is the right thing, and look out for people, care about people, feed people.
Can you elaborate on that near death experience? What happened to you?
I had a cataract operation for my right eye, and then 2 weeks later for my left eye. And during the left eye uh, operation, they overdosed me with fentanyl.
Oh.
So they didn't look at what they had used the week before, 2 weeks before. They just doubled the dose or something like that, and I stopped breathing. And I stopped talking, and my heart stopped, and I don't know because I don't remember that, but that's what happened, and scary. I think I yeah, it was very scary, and I woke up in the it was done not at a hospital, but in those surgical centers, and
Mhm.
I ended up in a emergency room, thinking that LA had been hit with a bomb or something because people were screaming, and I thought, what went on? So I had no idea. And it was hard. It was very hard. I think harder for my children and
Mhm.
the people around me that love me.
When you came to and you realized that you had a brush with death, how did that change your worldview at all?
Well, they hadn't finished the operation, so I was only halfway through. So I had a patch on my eye,
Wow.
and I thought, I had no idea. And I woke up. When I woke up, I was in this some cubby hole over there, and and I think what it did in those moments is made me want to get up out of the bed, but I couldn't.
Mhm.
But maybe scream, maybe something, maybe what happened, where is somebody to explain this to me? So
Mhm.
there's that initial fear that happens and you go, "What happened?" What? I don't understand it. This wasn't good. It was not a good thing, and, um, fear.
Mhm.
Fear sets in, and your mortality, I mean, I've had this all my life. Well, not all my life, but the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Living with this hanging of mortality in my life, and I'm thinking, like, I I gotta talk about this. So I do. I talk about it. I tell people, "Be very careful where you go, what you do," and, I don't know what else I can do except talk about it, and that's sort of where the book helped me
Mhm.
do that.
You also did something for women that were impacted by HIV, AIDS in Africa by teaching them how to make jewelry. Why was that something that was important for you to pass on?
Well, I worked with women in 7 countries, actually,
Yeah.
and it it was towards the end of the '90s when I had gone to Africa with a White House, one of those groups that they travel to 5
Mhm.
cities in a week or something, and I felt it I wasn't taking medication then because at that moment in time, I I didn't have any that was working. So, I went there and I realized that I belonged more with the women and the men that were singing for us and talking to us, but being translated, and it just sort of changed the way I looked at this because they were so surprised. They did not believe a white person, a white woman, would
Mhm.
get this disease, and and they couldn't believe that anybody would talk about it out loud. I saw these people knowing that until they got medication, which didn't really happen till 2004, they were just dying. They were dying, and I was part of that community. This was like my family. I felt very much like these were people that understood me. These were they we all understood each other, and they got so much joy and love out of each other. I grabbed some of that, and I felt that, and wanted to figure out a way to help them,
Mhm.
become entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
learn. So once medication came to Africa, I tried to do teaching them how to make jewelry. Now, I have to tell you, I that's not really what I do. I'm an artist, but that wasn't really. But I learned, and I taught them how to make things that were simple but beautiful, and it changed their lives. And when you change the lives of women, especially in countries like that, in their communities, you change women's lives. You change the whole community because they change the community. Women are very much in charge over there, and in some respects,
Right.
but and I think that it gave them a sense of empowerment that they could now feed their children and pay their school fees for their children to go to school. I mean, little things that we just don't think about over here, or,
Mhm.
being a privileged white woman. I think that somehow I didn't understand all of that. I mean, you do, but you don't until you're in it.
Until you're in it. Yeah. Well, thank you for being such a powerful and prominent voice for those that have been voiceless. It's been 3 decades of you advocating for others, and it's just incredible work. So thank you so much, Mary.
Well, I mean, you're welcome, and thank you for helping me tell others as well, Diane. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. For more news you need to know, go to newsnationnow.com.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.